Well, Charles, it's a real shocker today.
That it is. Here we are in the center, well, not really the geographical center of Manhattan, but for a long period of time, this intersection where Broadway is going south and Fifth Avenue to my right is going south, used to be in the early 1900s, a thriving hub of activity. And you pointed out that I think there's a street light named Desire? Oh no, that's a streetcar named Desire.
Well, this is apparently an historic street lamp. This is one of the very first, I don't know, as I was looking around at this, well, because today's episode is the shocker,
right?
Which if my friend, one of my oldest friends in the world is watching, which he's not, he'll laugh about that from an inside joke that we will not go into. But I don't even know what this movie is about, and we certainly do not want anything bad to happen to Joe Biden. But it's not a shocker that you tell everybody to get an electric car, and then suddenly California realizes we don't have enough electricity for all that.
Not only tell them, but give them incentives to, tax incentives, and then actually force them. Yeah, this is.
But that is one of the first electric street lights installed. One thing told me Thomas Edison, something else said somebody else, but...
Thomas Edison gets credit for commercializing the delivery of electricity. In fact, my business partner, Chris Brady, his family, there were a number of families that financed Thomas Edison. And his family had come from Northern Ireland. And
that's money.
Serious money. No, they're
like, Charles, I've got something for you. It's the electric light bulb. That's crap. Get it out of my office.
I've been in that situation. Why?
Somebody said it was crap. Nobody wants that. No. Gas works fine.
No. More recently, one of my father's, one of his best friends from elementary school and high school, whatever, worked for my great grandfather in Spokane, Washington, and. Then went to Harvard Business School and then went to Dillon Reed. And he was a partner when I was an associate. I did not get the job through him. Obviously, he would have known about me, but I went through the rigorous process. As a young guy, maybe 33 years old to pick a year, I'm just guessing. He went, he wasn't 33, he was probably 43 or something. He was sent over to Japan in, I would say it would probably be in the late 50s, early 60s, with a partner, a very senior partner, who had participated in doing the first fundraising for a Japanese firm after World War II, and that caught the attention of the demolished Japanese government. They were very grateful to Dillon Reed.
Probably American investors were super reluctant.
Exactly, but he goes on this tour, and I've been in this situation. I went on a tour much later to Mexico when it was a mess. When Brady
was a mess?
Well, when it was a mess coming back.
Still a mess.
And, with Chris, we flew down and we were introduced. We had great meetings with all these very powerful people, and I come back to report to the Dillon Reed partners about our trip and what we should do. And I just point out that there's a lot of opportunity. Nobody else is banking there. We could do a lot of good stuff there. And these partners just, fuck that. And similarly, this guy comes back in the 60s on a fact-finding mission, and he says, I think I've told you this story before, but newer viewers might not know it. He comes back and he said, of all the things that I saw, the most interesting thing was this inventor who has given us a chance to buy 10% of this company for $100,000. What's that company? It's a Kia Merida Sony. 10%, $100,000. And the buyer's like, fuck
it's going nowhere.
Yeah, what are you, nuts? Who listens to the radio?
Transistor? Come on.
Right. So that is quite common that that stuff does happen. But and actually, Thomas Edison's career is very controversial. I mean, they say that he's given, in quotes, credit for creating General Electric, but he didn't really. He was involved with it, and he was a disaster as a manager, and he had to be reorganized and whatever.
Isn't one of these buildings the Con Edison building?
I think, is that on 23rd or 14th? There's several Con Edison buildings. Let's go through the park and get on a quieter street here. We always do like to actually start around here. But on the subject of Joe Biden for a second and being worse than stupid. I mean, we've talked about this before. A fish rots from the head, and when you've got a rotten fish head pretending to run the country,
it's not getting better.
It's not like you're going to go get, okay, let's see, for the head of my finance, I want the smartest financier to be Secretary of Treasury. No, you get Janet Lemon, or what's her name, Lemon?
Yellen.
Dumber than shit. You know, you get her.
Janet barely speaking.
Yeah, she's just got this contrived way of speaking. She thinks that if she talks like Adam Sandler on Dope and Waterboy.
Yeah, she sounds like a stroke victim to me.
Right. And what she's saying makes no sense. Inflation, in my opinion, is transitory.
Right.
What are you talking about, bitch? I mean, it's the highest level of inflation we've ever had since 1980.
It's like they took the elementary school lunch lady and put her in charge.
Well, but the thing of it is, behind the Federal Reserve, there are a lot of powerhouses working in the Federal Reserve on paper anyway, who have the PhD credentials or the professional credentials or both. And if they let the Treasury Secretary, where there's obvious signs of inflation all over the place, before the inflation really starts raging, and let her get up there and say, inflation is transitory. And then suddenly everybody in the press is saying, oh, I've never heard that word before. I guess it is transitory. What does that mean? Does it mean it came on the New York subway, New York Department of Transit?
New York Department of Transitory.
I know, it's just ridiculous. So the people around Joe Biden, if you're going to agree to work for a moron, you can't be as smart as he is, which means we got a collection of low energy, low IQ stooges. And just when you look at what was it? I think it was Secretary Granholm, the lack of energy secretary, who comes back. She said, you know, I bought an electric car, and when I came back from Michigan or wherever she's from,
yeah,
you know, I didn't care about the gas price.
No, she said, when I finally got enough chips to get my own electric car. It's like, what is this? She's like, yeah, well, I was stacking paper, and then, you know, I got my new whip sled driving from Michigan. I mean, and it's like, by the way, all your constituents are going out of business over this.
Right, and it's just, I have seen this, and I've seen this actually from the very beginning of my educational career. Around the time I was called 7th grade or thereabouts, is about the time that people were not, fewer and fewer people would be really good in English and also really good in math. They just sort of diverged. You're going to walk on the water?
I was just going to say, we should drain this swamp. What is all this stuff growing in here? Kids were playing in this a couple of weeks ago.
I think what this is, Jason, is a food factory for Germany. Instead of having, you're going to have, instead of veal, you know, no more veal. We're going to
dragonfly.
We're going to kill all the animals. And we're just breeding mosquitoes, and we're not worried about malaria. That's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, why do we want this here?
Well,
oh man.
So
Janet Yellen, she's over there.
Well, no, and this electric car thing. I mean.
Oh yeah.
Only, I actually never really thought about this until I lived in not really rural, but rural New York. And in rural New York. In New York City, you basically don't have to care, if you're in Manhattan, you don't have to care too much about the weather, right? It's a rare occasion where the entire city shuts down in Manhattan.
Serious weather event.
Right, very rare in Manhattan, right? Because you can walk most places, you've got the buildings, unless you have a Hurricane Sandy event where all the electricity goes out or something like that. In just snow and ice and rain, you're going to be able to go underground in the subway if you don't mind getting murdered on the way, or at least panhandled. And you begin to forget, I think I forgot as a child, how much weather plays a role in the life of somebody who's living in a rural area.
Yeah, like you can't get to the highway and the supermarket.
Well, the house that I had, which was an unusual house, the last one, had a driveway that was half a mile long, uphill.
Both ways.
Huh?
No shoes.
Well, it was one of these things where it curved several ways, and then it went like this up to the house, and this had a beautiful panoramic view west, which was nice when the weather was nice, but in a blinding snowstorm, all that snow just comes onto the driveway. And we had several occasions, including when Montana was first born, and for like the first 8 days of life, we nipped up there, and we got stuck in the house for like 4 days.
Wow.
We had first we get a tow truck, normal truck plow to try to do it. The first plow goes off that portion of the road I was talking about. The second plow trying to pull that goes over.
Wow.
And then a gigantic farm tractor goes over. And fortunately we had a lot of food, and
like a vehicle graveyard there.
But the point is that was a rare weather event in 1993. Is that where you get your Versace stuff?
I don't have any Versace
Oh,
stuff.
Jason, stop being
This
so
is
modest.
like Bed Bath & Beyond times 10,000, but
Yeah,
I've not noticed this here before.
It is. It's been here. Rosenthal is, I think, a pretty high quality brand of.
What is it? Plates. Flatware.
So, I think it's plates and stuff. This, Limoges. My parents like Limoges china.
Yeah, like this is if you get invited to an Ortel wedding, you can buy a gift here for somebody, but regular people aren't shopping here.
No, the thing.
Uh-oh, wait a minute.
Let's keep going.
We were about to get discussed
Oh yeah.
or whatever.
Oh,
Talked
he was about to.
The pitch was about to begin.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
I mean,
everyone has.
man, give me money.
Everyone. Yeah, I suppose we're standing talking about my mother's Limoges collection, and if a bum hears that, he's going to say, "I want some Oge too."
Yeah, I'd
Do you
like
want
some
OJ?
fine flatware, Charles. What you got for me?
But everybody's has different likes. Some people. I mean, you grew up in a family. You told me that was not particularly interested in cooking for itself. And my family, my mother and father, one of their great joys was trying out all these fancy recipes that they cooked together. And my mother, for her entire life, kept track of every dinner party and what they served and who came and what the people wore. And
My mother is a saint with a lot of great talents, but cooking is not one of them.
Yeah, it just everyone has different things they like to do, And but it is quite pleasing. It's the worst thing in the world is to go to somebody's house and be told, "I'm going to treat you to a fantastic meal." And yeah, the silver is nice, and the china and crystal, and everything's nice, the room's nice, and the food's shit. You're sitting there going, "This is like worse than eating bugs." What are
It's
you?
like
Are you
the
kidding
Charles
me?
version of the Sugar Hill Gang.
It's like, you take a perfect cut of, the most perfect cut of beef, and you serve it well done.
Yeah,
Fancy
well, that's what
China.
Trump likes with ketchup.
Stupid.
But
That
he's
is
also, the Jared book, they're talking about eating McDonald's on Air Force One. I don't understand. He did explain that Trump likes to eat McDonald's because they never know when he's going to show up and the food is already prepared, so he's not going to get poisoned. That was the explanation. But
other than being poisoned by the food that everybody
exactly,
gets
he's voluntarily poisoning himself by eating that.
Right. But there is a reason for that. I know in Ireland where they have good beef. I had some fancy friends over there. They could afford to have whatever they wanted. We go out to these beautiful restaurants there, and I would order rare beef.
And they were shocked.
Horrified. How can you do that? And the reason is that going way back, the best beef from Ireland was exported, and what was left behind was not so good.
Wow.
And you see that it's
Dubai, it was illegal to order a hamburger rare. Like if you would order some steak medium rare,
well, it's because
it comes out well done.
Yeah, because people get concerned about I think it needs to be on this, getting
something
sick. You have to be very cautious, even in a place like Dubai. How is that meat handled? Where was it stored? Can you be certain that it was always been refrigerated?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Well, they wouldn't cook it medium rare, and you can't get beer at.
There's a very
diplomatic immunity.
This guy's token up over there.
I actually, for the first time, I think, saw a guy injecting heroin yesterday or the day before on the street.
Yeah, that's good.
And he was just out. It was like 6th Avenue.
Well, that's famous. I think on 42nd and 6th or something.
This was like 23rd.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I've never gotten the whole. I'm not really high on getting injected with anything, even medicine.
This dude was his arms and leg. Oh no! It was coming back from our last show on Sunday. He was right there, just a little bit north of the old women's prison that's now a library.
Oh yeah. The place where I told you people take a leak, right there in the corner.
No, it was like seconds after you left. I went further north, and the guy was there injecting heroin.
I just want to get on the sidewalk, maybe.
The Wingstop is going to compete with Popeyes, Charles.
And Saravana Bhavan, one of your favorites.
But this is a direct chicken competition over there.
May the best fake bird win.
Yeah, I'd never heard of Wingstop before. No need to stop.
Do you enjoy Indian food?
It's not my favorite. There
yeah.
are some things in an Indian restaurant that I like, but I'm not the most adventurous
It's an acquired
Indian
taste.
food person. I like chicken tikka masala.
In India, when I was there very frequently,
It's a Metro card, Charles.
I'm not picking it up. You want it?
No, thanks. You could have...
I was horrified. The first time this happened, I was out with these business school friends and their wives or whatever at a restaurant, and nice restaurant with nice tablecloths and beautiful restaurant. The food comes, and these people just take, using their hands.
Yeah.
They take the hand, put the rice on the plate.
Oh,
take
the
the
server.
No, my friends take the stuff. Take this like curry, just put it down here, spinach, and put it in. And
It's like, hey, Charles, you want some more spinach?
it's like, hey, nice to meet you. and I was just, I am not good at disguising how I feel about things like that. I was just reeling. And I said, no, Charles. And it's actually a fair point. They said, listen, we wash our hands, we clean our hands, and that's good. We don't know with the silverware, what's on it.
That's true.
And so, but to sit there and scoop this stuff up with like yogurt, and then the stuff's falling off your
Dripping
face,
through the fingers.
off your face,
That's great.
3 months later.
I told you about the trip to Korea where we had soup and everybody, there was a long spoon and everybody was just eating out of
shared
the
it.
same bowl of soup.
Nice.
And it's like, what are you trying to like save bowls?
Yeah. Or how about in Japan where they serve me chicken sushi,
Do they
chicken
do that?
sashimi? Yeah. And it was a
I've
chicken
had a lot
company.
of chicken stuff
and
in
I just
Japan, but never raw.
Well, the company that made it was specialized in chicken products. And I had to I looked at this and said, I don't think this is a great idea. And there was a test whether I would eat it. Had it been my own, had I not been on contract, I was an employee.
Yeah,
If it was my own company, I would have said, nice to meet you. Sayonara.
not eating the chicken.
Yeah. Not eating the raw chicken.
That looks like a new Dunkin' Donuts.
That can't be. It's a Dunkin'.
Well, that is new, Dunkin'.
Right.
They've gotten rid of the donut part.
A strong move. Because they want to make sure that they sell things other than donuts.
Well, we should explain to people what we're doing right now. We're
Talking.
we're heading back over to the UN.
Well, I know I digress, but I hadn't gotten on the whole electric car thing in your shocking poster.
Right.
I should say the art department, because we want to give the art department full credit.
That woman's in danger of giving herself some serious black eyes.
What, from her breasts?
Needs a sports bra, yeah.
So when you think through, and I started to say when we got to the mosquito-laden pond there in the park, I started to mention that around 7th grade, in my experience, personal experience, you start diverging. You figure out there's these people over here really good with English and history and writing, and these people over here really good with math and science, and
Music
maybe
or
actually
whatever.
music typically. And it's the rare person who's good at both
Yeah.
strands. So I have encountered in my amateur days working with all these newspaper people, media people around the world, that almost to a person, these gifted writers are hopeless when it comes to numbers. It's kind of like me and technology. I don't have enough seconds left to try to understand technology. And so I'm not going to do it. I'll just rely on people like you and others to tell me how to turn on a computer. Anyway, so with Joe,
This is good for Joe. Boozy ice cream.
Tipsy Scoop Parlor,
Parlor.
liquor-infused ice cream. That's why he likes the vanilla ice cream. It's not vanilla ice cream, it's liquor-infused.
This doesn't seem like a good idea to me. You're going to get fat and drunk and vomit from that.
Right.
Anyway,
But
so
it's a good place to study. Sit on the street around here, study.
the electric car.
Right, so the Green New Deal and the morons who've been selling this, this is not the first time that a bunch of morons have come along and said, because I remember this in the early 80s, people said you should switch to diesel fuel from gasoline. And I remember the Peugeot cars, French cars,
Yeah, diesel.
were
turbo.
all diesel, and they were very peppy cars. They really zipped
Because they're
along.
turbocharged.
And I thought, I don't know. I don't care if it's a diesel or gas. Just get me to
engine, right.
fucking show train on time or whatever. But so in Norway, our friends were telling us, government subsidized diesel, then the cost of diesel went stratospheric, and then the government said, oh, never mind, you can have those cars that you got rid of.
And then Volkswagen got in trouble for lying about the fuel efficiency. Right. I mean, what's happening now is diesel engines, the way they work is actually pretty intriguing, and Mazda's developed a gasoline engine that works more like a diesel engine, which gets excellent fuel economy, but the problem is diesel fuel has gone up so much now that even though it's more efficient, it's still more expensive. This is crazy.
It's ebony and ivory garbage, right? You got the...
But why is it all so far all over the sidewalk, and then we have furniture here?
Right. So
God, it stinks.
What do you think?
My God.
What avenue is this? This is
Second. Here's a coal oven pizza place that's putting mercury
I bet it tastes pretty good.
into the pizza and the atmosphere.
Do you want to go? Let's go. We haven't gone up first in a while. Maybe we'll
Sure.
So the same sort of thing is going on now with electricity. First of all, I've been on the board of several companies that are involved in gas stations, and we have this extensive infrastructure of petroleum-based gas stations all over the world, and in particular all over America. And America, thankfully, is not fucking Belgium, a tiny little country. It's a huge expanse of land, and all these genius policymakers from AOC on downwards who can't balance their own checkbooks typically don't spend much time in Montana in the wilderness or whatever, where if you run out of electricity for your Tesla,
screwed.
You die possibly.
And also it's cold a lot, so your car is always going to be 30 or 40% less energized than somebody in California or Miami.
Right. So it's really, I would argue, that the people who designed this Green New Deal belong in the prison for the criminally insane. I mean, it's you have to go back to base principles and say, all right, let's look at the alternatives that we have before. So let's look at each alternative from the beginning to the end. So with petroleum-based fuels, yes, we have to disturb the environment when we drill. Yes, we have to do that, right? How much damage is done? Who knows? We can try to figure it out. Have we accounted for the damage properly in the accounting? Maybe
but also
not.
You've been doing that for 100 years,
right.
So it's a very refined process
right.
that probably could be done pretty cleanly as compared to
right.
50 years ago.
I'm just saying, but we don't, it's possible to go and say, and the most important thing with we've been doing it for 100 years, how much infrastructure
What is all this?
It's just 9/11 perhaps to protect. We've been doing this, we have a massive infrastructure. We have refineries, we have pipelines, we have storage facilities, we have petrol, gas stations, we have all that kind of stuff.
Everything.
Now,
and the jobs associated with all that?
Right, and if you're gonna, and most importantly, we have records. We know, a lot of drilling has gone on. We've kept the records. I forget, somebody once said something that a petroleum engineer is a liar with a degree from mining school or something like that. If you've ever, I've been in presentations.
They kind of guess, right?
Well, they have all kinds of lingo. This is nice. You want some?
Ooh.
Bring that over to.
Flat bird.
We'll get Popeyes to bid against, what was the other one? Wingstop?
Wingstop. That wing failed to stop.
Or that wing stopped.
Now it's stopped.
Yeah. So.
The real Wingstop.
So there's a lot of knowledge as to how that process works, and it's not as if you get off petroleum, and suddenly and the electricity comes from a unicorn's asshole. I mean, it
doesn't?
The
That's where the gay ice cream comes from.
The electricity has to come from somewhere, and the actions of producing electricity, a lot of electricity, even now in America, is produced by coal-fired plants.
Well, everybody's talking about nuclear, and I mean, you, I'm sure, remember more clearly than I do the 70s and everybody protesting nukes.
Kind of a blur, man. 70s, kind of a blur.
Well, but I'm saying, now you have environmentalists saying, nuclear is great for the environment. It's like, wait a minute, I thought it's not.
Well, in this case, I think we have to look at look at all the alternatives, not necessarily from looking only at what is good about each alternative, but we have to measure what is bad.
Dumb. That's Eric Adams' car.
What is it?
Can't even spell dumb, but it's Eric Adams' car, obviously, to get
You want to cross
transported.
over there?
Yeah,
The dumb police.
that's his car.
Or the Doe Manhattan police. Doe MH. But yeah, we walked up here before, or do you want to go one further? I think we stay here because that
Sure.
avenue comes this way. So you have to measure the good, and then you also have to think about the bad. Which is the least bad? And to go from reliable, high
Well
quality,
understood processes.
to leap off a cliff and say, all right, just we politicians, because we failed every math class we never took, and we've never taken a science class, we're going to just tell you you've got to use electric cars. We're going to punish you if you don't, because our track record is so fucking great.
Without even doing a proper study to
Right.
determine, what they should have done is a rollout plan
Right.
to do this over the next, much longer period of time than they're talking about consult. How you cannot consult the largest manufacturer of electric vehicles in coming to this decision, it just defies logic. Look at that mess.
That's serious. And then there's that mess to your right.
What the hell is going on there?
That's construction.
Z Wolf. That's interesting, with a helicopter.
Huh?
Now let's just take in what's going on around here.
I like to stay pretty far away from the entrance to a hospital because it's obviously sick people.
Okay, sure. You could go with garbage or sick people.
No, let's. I just don't want to meander in there too.
Traffic.
So for Biden's, there's that Monty Python, the Ministry of Silly Walks. We have the Ministry of Silly Talking, where last week from the podium, that
Latrine.
the moron gets up there and congratulates Gavin Newsom for his far-sighted decisions. I think Biden also did. The moron in chief.
To tell everybody to turn off everything in California.
The first thing they say, great move to force everybody in California to get off petroleum-based cars by 2035. And then not 2 days later, we're a little bit concerned in this heat wave where people are going to die if the temperature isn't brought down, that the grid is going to blow up, so please don't use it.
There's another problem. And I guess people know this, but maybe they haven't thought about it. The car culture in California is so much different than it is here. The number of businesses based on modifying your car, or racing your car, or doing whatever, to just make all that, upend that, it doesn't seem smart.
And industrial policy has never worked well anywhere it's ever been tried. Far better to encourage competition, to have many minds think about. Maybe certainly a mind will see a problem that our government hasn't observed, and let those advanced thinkers jump into the fray and come up with something, a product or service that actually helps people and is fairly priced. To say that, as Pete, racist road aficionado, or racist road desperado, boot edge, it says, saying to people, listen, you just should go out and buy an electric car. Electric car costs about $60,000, $70,000, which
it's going up too, because everybody was remarking that when they gave the $7,500 discount, that Ford and GM raised. Well, the reason they did that, I believe, is because they've been in a situation where they're losing money on the cars because the materials and everything going up so much. Like I was just looking on Ford the other day. My car is $5,000 more than it was. The same exact car.
You should keep investing in cars.
That's what I mean. But it's because they're like, okay, here's our opportunity to not lose as much money per vehicle. This guy's taking a piss. That's great.
Always a strong move next to a hospital.
Unbelievable.
We're in a pandemic. Wear a mask. Take a piss.
Right.
I can't wear a mask. I'm taking a piss. Put a mask on.
Unbelievable.
It's just.
So I'm pretty sure this is the. Well,
You're not
then
in
walk away from me.
I know. I'm trying to get away from you.
Good.
Yeah, but you're putting yourself in it. We didn't want to hear your voice. Watch out, Charles.
Whoa.
We just got assholes all around us here.
We're in New York, Jason. Tell me something.
This is like, have you ever, I don't know if this was going on, but it's like the high school girlfriend who calls you, be like, I'm just calling to say.
Don't call me.
I never want to talk to you again. Right. It's like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. So back on the Ministry of Silly Walks, for this latrine to get up there, and for the Democrats and demagogues to go out there and put this trigger legislation in place that if one state, New York, Connecticut has this, and I think Massachusetts and some other states have it, if one state decides to ban the use of petroleum-based cars by a certain date, these other states automatically are switching to it now. And where's the science behind that? I thought we were supposed to follow the science.
No science.
Follow the stupid.
Well, the other interesting thing about Latrine Jean-Pierre is that, she famously said that people are not walking across the border.
Baghdad Bob? She was trained by Baghdad Bob?
Well, but what happened is Ted Cruz gave a whole rant on Fox or somewhere saying, come down here and I'll show you. And then so I don't know if it was Peter Doocy or somebody said during the press briefing that, Senator Ted Cruz has invited you to come down to the border. And Karine says, who?
Well, it's like Kamala Harris. I've been to the border before, but you haven't been recently and you're in charge of this shit.
But how does she not know who Ted Cruz is? She works for the White House.
Do you really
Where are all these people going?
Langone Health, employee shuttle.
But that's weird, isn't it?
Shift change, probably close to a shift change, maybe shift change at 3.
And then we have a bus taking them somewhere else?
To Park Avenue, that's taking...
Seems strange to me.
The Bernard Schwartz program in structural biology. And here's Martin Lipton again.
This is the guy who invested in the law school?
Oh, well, Wachtell Lipton.
Yeah, he loves NYU, I guess.
I think so.
The other thing is, Charles, all of the Andrew Weissmans, and we got to talk about Bill Barr and his ridiculous reaction.
Well, have we crushed the electricity thing? You finished that for your poster?
Well, we'll come back to it if we need to, but I think people get the idea that a lot of people saw. It's just wonderful when a plan nosedives within like 2 days.
Here's something going on.
Because the other thing about California banning gasoline cars is that it has a tendency to drive the worldwide market of how cars are manufactured. What the hell is going on here?
Let's not get in the edge with them.
It's a doctor.
I know.
Are they going to arrest the doctor? I've seen this guy before. The cops get really annoyed when you record what they're doing.
They're on the street.
I know, but they're still annoyed. They're looking at me wanting to say, shut that off.
Yeah.
Because they want to be able to do what they do without any scrutiny.
Photo enforced. City speed limit 25. I didn't realize the limit was, I thought it was 35. 25 is not very fast.
Probably because it's in front of the hospital.
No, it's citywide 25.
I thought it was 30.
It says
that might be new. Because an old trick is that if you are on an avenue making green lights, if you can maintain 26 miles per hour, you will go through every single green light. And I've tested that. So that must be new, or either that, I'm pretty sure it used to be 30, but it doesn't matter. Nobody adheres to that. And
well, actually, just as I was coming to you, your Avenue 7th, and people were coming down 7th, right? The light was red. And some idiot in a taxi, whatever, this is another fake charity coming up. Right here, look, 3 here and 3 there. Save the Fool. What's this one? Rescue. International Rescue, under no circumstance. It's a complete fraud. I went to, actually this is the charity for which I went to the benefit, and they had all these pictures of starving people they were rescuing. It was at some fancy restaurant spending tens of thousands of dollars on a gala dinner, and my attitude is, let's leave. What do we do? Why are we doing this? Send the money abroad, and who knows where it's really going. This is backed by, the hard left. It's a standard playbook. We have these, how many idiots? You got 2 over here, 3 over there, asking for money. I bet you none of them really could tell you, we don't need to engage in. But they're all over the places. The International Rescue, the International Breast Cancer, the Save the Children. And on the way, actually, to meet you, I saw Mr. Raising Money for Black Lives Matter with a fake clipboard and all that kind of stuff. There is no Black Lives Matter, but anyway.
They're suing each other.
I know. It's priceless. Did we bring that up early? I'm trying to remember.
Well, they're buying lots of mansions.
You need that.
Busy laundering money.
You can't be a philanthropist. You can't give your money away unless you have money to begin with. That's a nice scene.
I was going to say, look at this. This is like a place that's operating.
This is a bum wrangling place.
Why are they allowing that outside their...
I think there's one of those link stations over there. Oh, no, that's a...
This is somebody's like office chair that they've brought outside the...
and you got a little playground over there with tiny little kids next to these...
That's what I mean. It's very strange.
So Eric Adams will be in about 4 years. He's lucky.
Should we talk about the UN and why we're coming over here?
It's up to you.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Oh, here's that thing that the last time we saw it, somebody sent me a very good interpretation of what that weird symbol is.
A lot of garbage.
It does not symbolize garbage, but you're right, there is a lot. It's prepackaged garbage. Look at that.
Probably have a garbage wrapping department.
Shrink wrapping. Well, anyway, so we're coming over here to the UN.
The disgrace, you mean?
Well, there's been a lot of discussion about UNESCO. What do you want to tell people about
Well,
that?
there are a number of very good zero-hedge stories today. One of them has to do with the UN. I think we understand now why, what's her name, Nina Jankowicz, so quickly, in Mallorca, so quickly backed off the American disinvestment.
All this other stuff at the ready.
Because they have a UN thing with 100,000 people in it. Now, to put that in perspective, the Federal Bureau of Not Investigating Anything That Might Implicate the Deep State has only about 35,000 people in it. So why would you need 100,000 people already? And I loved the zero hedge thing. Is one of these things where the person advocating the need for this UNESCO-centered anti-conspiracy theory thing is so fucking stupid that they make the arguments to prove that they're stupid. They make these arguments articulating why you need this thing, and they go through some might ask. They say, well, some might ask, what's a conspiracy theory?
Right.
And they say, well, one kind of a conspiracy is when the people who believe that there are no such thing as birds, that all birds are robots, and
they said
nobody.
That?
Yeah, it's in the zero hedge. That's one example, and another is that many people who believe that Michelle Obama is actually a lizard.
I saw that. Who believes that?
Who allowed this memo to go out into the public domain? What kind of nutcases are you talking about? And the UN, in my mind, if ever there was an argument for what we should do with Gitmo.
Put the UN there?
Yeah, well, put them in prison, many of these people. I mean, the raping and pillaging that has occurred under the aegis of the UN since its formation, and particularly in countries with brown-skinned residents, like across Africa, Southern Asia, Caribbean. The raping and pillaging that's being done by UN soldiers, UN administrators, is disgusting.
Yeah.
And just like we try to wipe out, in theory, the mafia, we should be wiping out the globalists. The people who are unregulated globalists, people who think that they can come, as the policeman will tell you when we get in front of the UN, get off my property, this is UN property. Like, you will see about that. You will see about that.
Well, let's talk specifically about UNESCO for a moment, because it's interesting. It's headquartered in Paris.
UNESCO schmo.
And it's sort of infamous and has a long-standing history of being controlled by kind of Arab nations and other nations that are sympathetic to
Palestine.
To Palestine, and they've basically done a lot of things against Israel, which I'm not making any comment on that, just stating that this is what happened. And so in 2011, while Obama was president, the United States stopped funding it. We were providing 20-something% of the $80 million a year that went to this French thing to tell us here in America about what we should or shouldn't be doing with the First Amendment. And when Trump became president, he officially withdrew the United States from it, even though the failure to pay for 6 or 7 years had removed the United States' ability to be a voting member of the thing. But it was interesting, Charles, because when I looked back at news from 2011 when this happened under Obama, it was Victoria Nuland who made the announcement.
Victoria Nuland is an extremely evil person.
I agree.
Now look at this. Which looks more attractive to you? Empty field? Garbage complex.
Why don't we make this a giant housing complex and let the UN pay for it?
No, I got a better idea. Why don't we say to the UN, all you workers in there, you are going to go work here, but there's nothing here. Yep, that's right, and there won't be. You're going to work outside. But it's cold here in the winter, I know.
Well, but anyway, so then what happened was, to resolve this problem and get money back, UNESCO added a new director general, which is a French-Moroccan woman who is Jewish. And I don't know anything about her really beyond simple reading, but it reeks to me like the same exact move they did in Ukraine, where they're saying, we can't be Nazis, we've got a Jew in charge of the whole place.
Or George Soros. Yeah.
Well, you're right. You just find some evil person who happens to be Jewish, who doesn't care that much about other people, whatever religion they are, and just wants to enrich themselves.
Or nominally Jewish, or nominally, So, well, I mean, when we think back to 1945, and when the UN came together, after the League of Nations had failed, and remember that the United States was not a member of the League of Nations, even though it was Woodrow Wilson's one of his big ideas. The first thing we need to understand is that a nation of 335 million on a planet of 7.5 billion shouldn't have much of a voice in any kind of representative government. We're less than 5%. Why should we be dictating terms of this globalist organization if that's the way you want to go? Do we really want to submit to global governance under communist China and India?
No.
Just the way.
I don't even want this Moroccan lady and her crew of idiots to tell us what we should be doing on Twitter or elsewhere.
And that's an area where Donald Trump really missed an opportunity. We'll be talking about that in the coming weeks in my various columns. There is a provision under law in the United States where the American president can opt out of the UN, opt out of any globalist scheme. And there's certain criteria, specific criteria that you have to demonstrate to do it. Trump should have done that. He should have said, this global fund, you don't have the protection. You're not immune from prosecution in the United States. If we find out that you took our money and used it to kill people using medicines that were not properly checked, and you should have known they were not properly checked because you were well involved with the company that was making this dirty medicine, we'll come after you. And we could say, frankly, fuck the UN, fuck all globalist institutions. We're just going to, for a period of time here, enough damage has been done on these to American citizens by these globalist schemes. We are going to. That's nice.
I was going to say that dog's not getting enough fiber, Charles.
I'm not sure that was a dog.
It's something.
Yeah. I'm not a shit scientist.
When it's braided like that, you need to drink more water.
Okay, Dr. Goodman. Shouldn't we ask Chelsea Clinton?
Well, that's only if it's diarrhea. Yeah, she's the opposite of an expert in that.
Mom, Dad, should I major in whole shit or diarrhea? And I don't know, Chelsea, that's a good idea. So, these schemes just haven't worked, but are they fun? I mean, I have a number of friends who got all into globalism, and you're sitting there, we'd be talking, Charles, I got to go out to Toledo to meet with Champion Sparkle Company, and then I've got to go to, some small town in Belgium to talk to the international operations. Well, I'm going to Nairobi for this conference on clean water, and then I'm going to Tahiti for another conference on how to turn shit into water, and nobody nobody checks my expenses. I don't have to pay income taxes. And
Before we move off of Champion spark plugs, it's a great example of a company that, let's say this happens in 2030 or whatever, they start down that road and then something in the next 8 years we realize, holy crap, this is a problem. We have to switch directions and go back to gasoline powered cars. If Champion spark plug says, holy crap, we don't have anything in the pipeline to make our business viable in the age of electric cars, we're out of business. And then now later, if they realize, oh, this was a bad plan, we need more gasoline cars, you won't be able to get them.
which is why I sold the company in 1989.
Well, but I mean, there's all these peripheral companies that service the automotive industry that when we have a natural progression of things transitioning, for all we know, Champion spark plugs, you know, they might have gotten together with Ford or Mazda or whoever says, hey, you know what? We don't have a lot of hybrid cars, but to stay competitive, we need some new development. Oh, here's a new spark plug that works with your better engine. And all that could have happened, but now it won't.
And actually on that subject, so the way it worked back in, seriously, the reason I sold the company as an agent of the board of directors, was that when you looked inside the business of Champion Spark Plug Company, the U.S. business was losing money, and the international business was making more than enough to offset the U.S. losses, which made no sense.
Yeah.
But how do you lose money in your biggest market?
Right.
And the answer is that in Europe, back then, the answer was in part that in Europe, to drive a car, you needed, this is pre-EU, you needed to pass a more serious exam and maintain your car more, much more
rigorously?
More rigorously, exactly. And so there were more opportunities to charge the owner of a car for these different services. And you were in a place in the United States where you're never going to go to the European model. And we got very lucky when we sold that thing.
What language are those guys speaking?
Some guys, kind of like some Eastern European language, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's an example of unregulated globalism rot. I mean, how much would you pay for that piece of shit? My answer is
rock.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and they're going to tell me, oh no, that's an Alexander Calder or something.
Actually, that I shouldn't do. They'll get pissed about.
Yeah. Guys at TJ
Shopping
Maxx.
for TJ Maxx.
Probably not even paying sales tax.
Diplomatic immunity.
Yeah. Dip is the appropriate syllable.
I hate this place.
Yeah, Tim, do not
Look at this Nazi guard working the door. He's probably straight out of the Azov battalion.
Yeah, Tucker, I think, was talking about the Azov battalion last night. And somebody was giving...
John Stewart gave the Azov battalion a Nazi guy an award.
Yeah, and they covered up his Nazi tattoo.
I know. He has a black sun on his elbow, and he covered that up to accept the award from John Stewart. And you know who was also a shameful tribe member who I used to think was funny? Howard Stern.
Oh,
what an asshole.
Well, he married that Beth Ostroff or whatever. And
maybe that was...
And he's trying to like socialize with all the fancy people out in Long Island, Manhattan.
I don't know what the hell happened to him, but he's not funny anymore.
He's not, yeah.
And he's saying that everybody who likes Trump is an idiot, and that Howard Stern thinks he's a conservative.
Yeah, he's just...
Look at this joker walking down the street.
Yeah, sorry.
Fucking clown.
Probably from Uruguay.
With the serpent tattoo on his arm. Like, all of these guys should be rounded up and stuck in jail.
What? I mean, I've been in there. Have you ever been in there? I told you. I have a picture of myself speaking to an empty General Assembly.
That's cool.
And also sitting at the Security Council with my brother.
If I were to recreate a photo in the UN, it would be Roger Thornhill in the lobby with the knife and that dramatic Bernard Herrmann music. And then he's got a truck. Look at that.
Yeah. Well, this was back, I can tell you what year it was. It was 1977. And I had a friend, was it 77? Yeah, I had a friend who was at Harvard Law School, and he had an internship at the UN. And so he came over one day to my office. We were going to meet for dinner. I said, hey, come on over to the UN. And so I got my brother with me. And we went into the UN, and he said, let me show you around. And he had a pass. And he said, these guys are with me. So it was pre.
Go anywhere.
We went anywhere. So first we go into the Security Council. We sit there, and I said, that United States thing, can I have that? Sure. My brother said, well, can I have
It's the UN. Everything's free.
Can I have the Secretary General one? So he takes that one. And then we're wandering around, and we go and get pictures. We take pictures of us addressing the empty General Assembly. And then he says, you want to see the Secretary General's office? So, okay.
Why is all this stuff?
And so we go in the elevator to the floor, and we just walk in there, and we're looking around. I think it was Kurt, somebody other was, I forget who it was in 77.
Vonnegut?
No, Kurt, was it?
Waldheim?
Was it Walt? But, and this guard comes in, and he says, you can't be in the Secretary General's office. And my friend, being valedictorian at Yale and Harvard Law School, said, do your eyes work? Because that's where we are right now.
You were ahead of your time, Charles. You should have worn David Lee Roth makeup and Viking horns and a fur bikini.
But let me just finish the Ronald H. Brown's memorial of not opening your pie hole early enough, so you end up on the side of a mountain. But anyway, the next week there were several pictures in the UN and meetings at the Security Council where they didn't have the sign.
Because you took it.
I might have taken it. It might have been. I didn't per se take it. It was offered to me.
Is that Pete Buttigieg?
Chasing the racist roads. I'd love to see his addresses. But yeah, poor Ronald H. Brown.
Why did they make this?
They just want to. It's the kind of thing. I mean, that's our mission.
But I don't understand why we need a mission if this is the United States. What is the purpose of a permanent mission to the United Nations?
Not much. Now, there's something going on here.
Oh, yeah.
What
is it?
I don't know. It just looks like a lot of Chinese people or Asian people.
That's New York. Maybe they're buying everything.
But can you name a single thing that the UN has done for all the money that's been wasted at this place? A single thing that it's done.
I can point you to a lot of apologies from directors of a lot of things run by the UN where they're saying, oh, we're sorry, all those kids got raped.
What is an Amish market doing catering at UN events?
I don't know. Those guys don't look Amish. I'm not a biologist, but are there any black Amish people?
I think that's a racist question.
Are there? That guy doesn't know. He's with the UN. He made a face when I said that.
That was funny. Well, actually, you saw the stories about horrible sexual crimes by the Mennonites.
Oh, yeah. They had a reality show about that a long time ago that the kids left.
Do they pronounce that sustainable?
I don't know. This is, what are they having like that?
What is going on is actually the UN General Assembly is, I think, starts soon. Like, maybe around the time of the Clinton Grifter Initiative, which is the 1920s.
The whole thing is a disgrace. And you know what? When I used to go to these different kind of, I don't know, were you allowed to walk under this?
Yeah.
Probably not. When I used to go to these different kind of 3D events.
A big tent.
There were a bunch of European people who were, it was a combination of Hollywood people and scientific people who were inventing 3D stuff, and people from universities who were, spending years trying to develop 3D televisions that didn't need glasses and things like that. So it was a mix of people, but I definitely got a taste for these sort of Eurocentric, going to conferences. Their research is funded by the government, and they always think they're smarter than you. There was this guy from Spain who would lecture me. He was younger than me, and he would lecture me do not abuse the stereo window, and you should not use so much parallax. I'm like, fuck you, who asked you?
It's in Europe.
Yeah, right. These Europeans who think they're so much smarter than us. This guy with all the tattoos on the arms.
It's probably in the Azov Brigade.
That's what I'm thinking. No drones are allowed. Did you see that, Charles? We're in the no drone zone.
How are they going to get through all the speeches? Isn't that what they do when they speak? Drone, on and on and on.
But it's prohibited anywhere in New York City. This is where...
He's just trying to get somebody to let him in, Jason. Let's
get
away.
I don't think it's the entrance here, and there's a padlock on it. Nobody's going to let him in.
Let's get away, Jason.
I'm curious to see what language they're speaking, what they're doing here. I don't
The
trust
thought
the
police.
UN.
The thought police are coming.
Good. Look at this, state trooper.
Huh?
We got a state trooper.
Those cars can move.
That's probably got the Hemi in it.
Those
Which you're not
guys,
going to be able to get in a little
they
while.
say in New York State that each state police barracks is slightly different and has different standards. So I'm told that in Columbia County, which is north of Dutchess, is where Millbrook is. Columbia is the next one up. Those boys, you don't want to get in trouble with the state police in Columbia County. None of this, you get to lecture them and you get to talk on the phone and you get to, diss them and whatever and vent shit. They're rough and tumble people.
Cuomo made that dude who was nailing his daughter move somewhere 2 hours away.
Really? Oh, is that right?
There was some state trooper who was
the
in a
kid
relationship with his daughter.
The state trooper should probably thank his lucky stars. You get involved with that family?
Married to the mob.
Married to the slob.
Married to the slob.
So here we are on the far east side. Do we want to keep... Where was the Ukraine mission?
59th.
Not 59th.
But
50th, 52nd?
Cuomo, wait a minute. There was, Eric Adams sent a bunch of people to Texas.
That was hilarious.
Well, but it's like he's saying that Eric Adams is saying that he tried to contact, what's his name, Abbott?
Greg, is it Greg Abbott?
Yeah, the Texas governor.
Yeah.
And that he was unresponsive. And then so he sent these people, which Abbott responded sending that Eric Adams should have a meeting with him rather than scheduling these secret visits. I just don't trust Eric Adams at all.
Well, at least he went to the border. I mean, Kamala Harris is responsible and she hasn't gone. Our friend Bob Bishop, who was on the show and would like to be back on, and I think we should have him back on, along with his the Hispanic radio host.
That guy was good.
Yeah, and he's also good. So they're both welcome on the show. We'll have to get him back on, schedule that up. But they've been down there, and Fox has been down there. I mean, to say, it'd be like saying, there's no traffic on whatever street this is, 49th and 1st. There are no cars anywhere to be seen. There are no buildings. There are no petroleum-driven cars in New York City at this time, as you can see. Right, Latrine?
Do you think she really did not realize that was going on?
Some people, have you ever interacted with somebody who's basically just completely stupid?
Have you ever watched this show when you're not on it? It's all I do.
But, seriously, I mean, you just, at a certain point, you realize when you're interacting with somebody, we got the light. Doesn't matter, he's got diplomatic plates.
Oh, right, he would just run us over and drive away. Right. He's got to be a crappy diplomat driving that old Subaru.
Yeah, that's right. He's probably from Montenegro.
Hey, he needs to bomb somewhere.
Nicaragua or something.
Get a Mercedes.
Yeah. So actually today is an historic day, Jason.
Why is that? What is
My
today?
son Hunter debuts today.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen it yet.
Didn't Steve Bannon produce that or something? Or Breitbart or somebody?
Breitbart was involved, but it's Peter Schweitzer and a whole bunch of people. Yeah, they crowdfunded it.
Well, I was going to say Bannon, I think, they're now bringing state charges against him.
They're going to arrest him tomorrow. He's going to surrender.
So what the hell is going on that they can't charge any of these actual criminals even once? And if you know Donald Trump, you're going to get charged by every single body that can charge anybody for anything every single time they can do it.
They're trying to dissuade anybody. This is an intimidation tactic. Trump was attempting, let's get past it, attempting to obstruct injustice, as was his duty as President of the United States, as the highest officer in the executive branch. He's supposed to preserve and protect the Constitution of the United States. And Biden and Bush and Obama and McConnell and Pelosi and the Clintons and many others, including Paul Ryan, they're all about the Benjamins. They talk about public service, but they get accustomed to flying in private jets and motorcades and not paying for anything and then getting ridiculous compensation for writing books that make no sense.
Nobody reads.
And doing documentaries. And Obama just got an Emmy for his documentary on a national park. That's like giving him an Emmy for his advice on skeet shooting. I mean,
I just wonder if Adam Sharp had anything at all to do with Obama getting that Emmy.
did Obama, just one moment in his 8 years in the White House, did he spend one night in a national park?
Well, I mean, if it's for the narration,
Well,
as much as I dislike the guy, at the audition for narrating the documentary, we want that guy.
He's got a good voice.
Yeah.
I mean, like speaking voice.
But I mean, winning an Emmy, it's just, I have always been not very interested in these awards because it's a bunch of assholes giving them to a bunch of other assholes. And before I even knew the specific names and proclivities of the specific assholes, I knew that already. But it's a disgraceful thing.
Well, it's, they're all, you go to every single thing is a superlative, right? The Academy Awards, the Emmys, Grammys.
What about the EGOT?
The what?
There's a couple people who are becoming lauded EGOT holders.
What is that?
That's an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony.
EGOT, okay.
And I think Obama is one away.
Is he really?
Yeah, I believe Barbara Streisand
That's
might have
sexist. Should be a she-got.
She might have been the first.
She got all
I think
that?
Barbara Streisand was maybe the first person. People can look this up, but I know Barbara Streisand is one. And I think
It's like a big swag bag when you get that. I mean, you get even one or two of them. You should get an honorary Rhodes Scholarship, a degree from Yale and Harvard and
that's
Princeton.
what I mean. It's all crap to legitimize losers.
Well, sometimes there are good people, but I agree. To sit there and spend the amount of time, money, and carbon that is spent in meetings and heating and providing electricity for the venues, and then all the people flying in, and then the cost of making their fancy clothes.
Well, it's about them picking
Right.
winners and losers rather than creating a meritocracy where the best ideas and the best performance rises to the top.
So is a conspiracy theory a theory that those award shows are rigged? Do you think that'll get us in trouble with UNESCO?
Well, they obviously gave Trump a lot of crap when he said that the Emmys are rigged. But what was less focused on is that just after Adam Sharp became the president and CEO of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, they were forced to hire an outside law firm to audit the process, and they determined that there was, in fact, cheating in the voting. So Trump was right, it was rigged.
Yeah, very often. I mean, that's again, Trump is a
The
case
Emmys.
in point why you need to enshrine and protect freedom of speech. The speech that
Right.
needs to be protected, this is what we heard in the 60s and 70s and 80s, is the speech of those who have radical dissenting ideas from the status quo. If you don't allow that speech to be heard, you run the grave risk of ending up like the nations out there, these island nations in the Pacific who worship space debris that fell on the beach. Like, oh yeah, this is obviously a god. Let's worship that.
Does that actually happen?
Oh yeah, and that can happen here. You could, things fall apart. We're the good old days of fruit on the street. Let's worship the fruit distributor.
Well, let's talk about William Barr for a minute.
Sure.
Oh, what a cute little dog.
He is not cute little, but he might be a dog.
Well, it looks like a...
Are you cold?
No, I'm getting my ears blown out. That dog looked like a kind of a cross between a Jack Russell Terrier and a Australian sheepdog. But Bill Barr, Charles.
The biggest, if we look at,
Should we head west, do you think? Where do you want to
let's
go
go up to 57th and,
Okay.
if that's right. We'll go across 57th, see what's up. Or 56th, or whatever you want.
That's fine. He was pretty exercised with Martha McCallum. He seemed almost upset, I would say.
Well, Barr, you were onto him before I was. I really hoped that he was honest. But it's very clear to me that his neck is on the block because, and he has, I think, exposure, because we don't have clarity on how President H.W. Bush granted pardons to 8 convicted felons, including Caspar Weinberger, on December 24th, 1992, after he had lost, but before he left the White House to Bill Clinton. We know from reading Bill Clinton's infamous book, hardback and paperback, I call it My Lies, he calls it My Life. He was going to call it My Struggle. That's a genius choice. No one famous ever wrote a book with that title before, or I should say infamous. But he talks, if you look at Iran-Contra, or I think even it's in the index, there are multiple passages, extensive passages in that book, in Bill Clinton's voice, saying, I didn't understand what the big deal was about Mark Rich, because after all, George H.W. Bush, pardon Caspar Weinberger and the 7 other felons, and the person who was Attorney General when that happened was Bill Barr. That's nice.
Right. Very young Bill Barr.
And I think probably thinner.
And you know, his daughter, Mary, her last name is not Barr. She's married, I guess. But she works in the Southern District of New York. I think she works for the DOJ, maybe not Southern District of New York, but...
You mentioned what she worked on or something. But anyway, he certainly, I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer. I try to think about the substance of problems, and I don't understand necessarily the legal processes, how they work. I certainly don't understand the intricacies of the regulations and court issues, and I've never done pleading myself. But on the substance of things, it doesn't take a genius to look at what happened in the Mar-a-Lago raid and this pattern, the Obama, now Biden pattern of, did you know about the Mar-a-Lago raid in advance? Biden said, certainly not, absolutely not. No, I didn't.
And then it comes out that of course he did.
Yeah, months before he did. Of course he did. By statute he had to.
That came out in the judge's order where...
So what else is going to come out? So, for Barr to be so far over a cliff, for the Rhino supposed former prosecutors, Whitman and others, to do that amicus curiae brief saying, no need for a special master, this is ridiculous. For Lawrence Tribe, who is a disgusting human being,
terrible,
an idiot, to be dancing on Trump's grave all the time when he's supposedly a professor of constitutional law is ridiculous. And to me,
wait, what's this guy taking down?
I don't know.
What did that say? What are the stickers you're taking off?
You just leave him alone. He's a nut.
I'm just curious.
He's got a Goodwill bag, for Christ's sake.
But what is he taking off?
He's an operative. He's probably taking down...
pro-Trump stuff. Let's see, what's it? Just curious what you're removing, sir. Maybe I agree with you. What is it? What do the stickers say that you're removing?
He's not going to help you.
Could I ask you politely to not ride a bicycle on the sidewalk? Because you could access that from the street as well.
You could tell he's striding purposefully.
Well, I'm just curious what he is taking down.
Well, if we cross the street, maybe he hasn't done that side of the street. We'll find it. The little white things.
Well, anyway, Bill Barr.
So on this
Tribe.
So presidential records are actually defined. So let's go past them without saying anything. I see one of those white stickers up there across the street. Midtown Catch Seafood. You want to?
I think we better wait for the light.
Maybe there's some over here. Yeah, here we go. Trump
won. Aha.
Or as is it Eddie Murphy says in the fake when he's playing the fake Jewish guy?
Well, but I mean, isn't that just stupid that guy would walk around taking like, the world is
let's
again.
Let's go over here and see if that's another one there. When the light changes. I think, the guy is, some people walk around with Gucci bags. He's walking around with a Goodwill bag.
It's spreading ill will. Not good.
The
thing that I found very interesting about Bill Barr's conversation with Martha McCallum.
How anxious he was.
Well, he exactly. He's normally incredibly cool. Whoa. He's normally incredibly cool, Charles. Never rattled.
Yeah, there's Trump won again.
And also there's
eyes,
the Roosevelt Island.
Pretty good eyes, huh?
Yes, very good eyes.
For an ancient dude. Let's broadcast this to the crowd. This is the sticker that lunatic was taking. I mean, Why is it
Somebody works
controversial?
hard making those
Right,
stickers.
so whoever is doing this needs to do more of them. I mean, and actually there's this Arizona gubernatorial candidate, Carrie Lake, was asked in a press conference, do you think Trump won the election 2020? And she just destroyed the journalists. I mean, it was fun.
Well, you know what? We got to be careful what we say. And I actually neglected.
You want to go this way or that?
I neglected to tell everybody, Charles, that the malicious, completely stupid, litigation-fixated, stinky feet, living in an RV, spending his entire life fixated on me, asshole social engineer, who constantly is trying to destroy this show.
Oh, this is sad. Somebody died here.
Yeah.
Picture, a young guy.
What was it? A bicycle getting hit?
Can't.
Doesn't really say. Norbert Christopher.
Happy 23rd birthday, baby brother.
Oh man. So I guess the kid was probably hit by a car.
Dangerous intersection here.
Look, here's a lot of bikes.
Well, it's just.
But anyway, the social engineers have been trying to destroy Crowdsource the Truth, and they've attacked the Sunday with Charles YouTube channel. So people have been wondering why the past two shows have not appeared on the Sunday with Charles YouTube channel. People can still watch on Crowdsource the Truth 7, Crowdsource the Truth 8, Rumble, Odyssey, Getter,
so Jason,
subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. And a huge thank you to sponsor viewers that make the show possible. What were you going to say, Charles?
I was going to say, Jason, are you going to tell everybody now where you really live?
Where? In the garbage?
300.
333.
Isn't that your home?
No. But just back on Bill Barr a second. He's getting super exercised.
Well, he's making very bad points. I mean, to me, again, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not pretending to be a lawyer, although on Fox, James Rosen called me distinguished lawyer. Charles.
Who called you that?
James Rosen, who's no longer there.
James Rosen or James Risen?
Rosen.
I don't know him.
Yeah, he's a good guy, actually, really good guy. Great sense of humor, and he's fantastic. He's an expert at doing imitations. He's really good at it.
I don't know that guy.
Anyway, but no, he was pretty high up, and then he was forced out of Fox. But when you read this section that describes, your protections from illegal searches and seizures,
it stays clear. The Constitution, you mean?
Yeah, like that thing that matters.
The law?
That thing you swore an oath to uphold on the Bible, Joe?
This guy, what's he doing? He's about to take a piss. This guy's about to piss on the wall. He's unzipping his pants.
We'll just leave him alone, Jason. He's obviously crazy. There's a policeman right there doing nothing about it. It's a traffic cop.
Maybe he's just adjusting his belt. When
Still,
he's facing the wall, undoing his pants, he seems like he's about to piss.
So now you're a pissing expert?
I mean, mind your damn business is what he'll say.
It's what he's doing. He's minding his business on the street. That's the whole problem.
But the thing that Bill Barr said is that it was wrong. And here's something I would like people to consider. Something I've observed about you and I, Charles, is that we are individuals. You like math, I like engineering, I like things that can be defined as working or not working. And when they're not working, I like to figure out what's making them not work, overcome that problem, and go right to the solution. But the law is not like that, and even when a judge issues an order, it's called an order and opinion, and they're giving their opinion. So when William Barr says this order was wrong, that's technically not correct. He might disagree with it and think that it's a bad order, but this is the judge's opinion based on her interpretation of the law. And you said you're not a lawyer, which we know, but you don't need to be, because there are smart lawyers that we can look to. And I have to say, I don't know this person personally, but I find every time he makes comments on things, it seems that Jonathan Turley is the most thoughtful and intelligent sort of like lawyer in the media that we see. And he was talking about how Judge Cannon had every right to appoint a special master, that this is basically like the court itself. And when they refer to the court, they're talking about the judge reviewing this information, because it's the judge who's going to be deciding what happens. So she's saying she wants an extension of her, which is the special master, to review this material And the only people who don't want a judge and an extension of the judge to do that are people who are trying to get something over.
I not only the material, the whole process. I think it's not just what they took. It's but if you again, I'm not a lawyer, and I have no ambitions to be a politician. I'm not saying that because I want to be drafted or appointed. I'm just I ain't doing it. But
this guy going right through the light.
It strikes me that if you really cared, if you believed this was serious, and you're supposedly a veteran of the American political scene like Joe Biden claims to be, you would realize that he's now created another constitutional crisis. And that even if it's not entirely proper to do it this way, and you have to do it through intermediaries, wouldn't it have made sense first to have perhaps an independent private sector lawyer approach the Supreme Court and say, we have a hypothetical we want to go over here. If we were to find ourselves in this set of facts, needing to do something to discipline the former president of the United States, to make sure that we did it entirely by the book, give us the middle of the...
I don't think the Supreme Court would do that.
Or some eminence grise, somebody, you go to a Republican and a Democrat, you go to some people, so you have a strong foundation for your acts. Here, lying about what they were doing, lying about using a partisan hack in the National Archive, some fuckwad who's in the General Counsel's office, the National Archives. Now, I think presidential records are very important. I'd love to know where all Bill Clintons are. I'd love to know where Barack Obama's are.
Oh, well, we haven't spoken about the biggest elephant in the room, Hillary Clinton announcing that she had no classified information and that James Comey was wrong.
I think she's not an elephant, she's an ass, right?
Well, how does she get away with doing that? And why hasn't Twitter thrown her off for disinformation? That's being spread with malintent.
Well, right now, I think the inside group is all trying to get free passes to the Clinton Grifter Initiative, which is going to be on the 19th and 20th of September here in New York. And so she can hand those out, and none of these journalists who want to be there are going to ask her any tough questions, whereas Nora O'Donnell and, the predictable...
I want to ask her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun. I think pay-per-view, you could pay for several mansions for that. Jason Goodman asks Hillary Clinton questions.
No, that would be...
Massive.
Jason Goodman gets physically ejected and beaten.
No, I think if you had a chance, the same way that when I met with the FBI, I had nobody with me. None of this, you're going to have teams of lawyers, Hillary. It's Jason versus you.
Well, if she would agree to sit down and speak to me, I would definitely ask her questions that she would not want to answer. But she's never going to do that, and it was just amazing to me that she would put that out there.
Why would she ever do that? There's no point in doing that.
Of course she won't do that.
She knows she can forum shop. Any number of people will put her up on a stage and first spend 15 minutes saying, you're majestic. What is the most wonderful aspect of your life? What is the most significant thing?
Doing every crime I want and never having to face justice.
What is the gutsiest thing? Oh yeah, staying with Bill Clinton, that was gutsy. No woman has ever done, or man has ever done that before. By the way, Liz Truss is the new UK Prime Minister. Did just that as well. She cheated on him, and he stayed together with her.
Well, that's a bit of the reverse, though.
I'm just saying,
Makes him a douche.
It's not gutsy in the slightest.
It's pretty weak, as a matter of fact.
Very weak.
And it's promoting to other people that you should, have infidelity in your marriage and just suck it up.
Again,
but also the bigger issue, Charles, sorry to interrupt, is that she did it to advance her own political career.
To get the Kobe Bryant ring, which was the Senate seat in New York, from which she got to run for president, from which she got Secretary of State, from which she got to run for president again, and from which she got a whole bunch of money.
Unattended lawnmower.
This used to be a Vietnamese restaurant around here, right?
Yeah. What's Hammock or Slimmer selling?
This is one of my favorite stores. Of course, I haven't bought anything here in 25 years. But
what is this? A pool float patio? Inflatable floating dock. That's pretty. You're going to fall off of that in 2 seconds. But I do like the trees.
That was the thing I was going to buy up there. That red thing.
The hovercraft.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
back then
you should get it.
It was $6,000 in like 1983 or 4. obviously a different version. But how cool would it be, like, take your hovercraft down the street, and you get back to your property, and instead of going up your driveway, you just go on the field? Like, cool.
I think you should get it.
Yeah. Clarissa actually wisely noted that one major league problem with it back in the early 80s was that a lot of our property had guy wires on, it had utility lines, poles, and there were guy wires, into the ground, and if you didn't, and often they weren't painted, and you might not see them, so you could go, think you're going through air, and in fact get your head sliced off. Yeah, I thought to myself, I don't want to lose weight that way.
No. We should start heading.
I'm thinking we should go down 6th or.
Sure. But anyway, I was very interested to see William Barr getting really agitated. Andrew Weissman is on Twitter.
We could go down.
Going all kinds of crazy.
They're all going crazy.
Because they know they're in trouble. And, for Hillary Clinton to say, I didn't have any classified information.
It's full of shit. Go on. How many shows do we need to do?
That's like me saying you and I don't have a YouTube show.
Which we may not. We're not careful. But no, I mean, we've done a show on almost every drop in the Hillary Clinton FBI vault, which is on file online right now. Dumps 1 and 2 specifically get into this. They get into the background of what they found in great specificity. There's another one that talks about, that puts paid to the notion that James Comey and the FBI actually checked Uma Abedin's laptop. It shows clearly that it was a political decision. Hot potato, they didn't want anybody to look at it, so they just put it on the side, they iced it.
It's 100% social engineering. I think that they became so delighted with the results from the nonsense they were able to do on Twitter and YouTube that they now want to socially engineer every single thing in the world. And this whole method, everyone's like, oh, Zuckerberg told Joe Rogan that the FBI did something. Ooh. But now what? Nothing's happening.
Right.
The newspaper today was saying that, Elon Musk is getting his ass handed to him in the Twitter battle, and actually Twitter stock went up back over 40.
Yeah, because the trial can't be delayed. But
because the judge said the trial can't be delayed, but people who read more than the first paragraph would realize that Elon Musk is laughing all the way to the Chancery Court, because I bet $1 he doesn't care if it's delayed.
Sure.
It would be fine if it is. But what actually occurred is that the judge said that he may amend his complaint to include evidence from the whistleblower who is corroborating everything that he's saying. I think Twitter is on the slow rotisserie program.
Right. Good. So the other thing that's interesting is that they're trying to change history and say that the lower reading scores and math scores of children are the Trump administration's fault because they allowed the lockdowns, to discourage the lockdowns. The truth is that
because who discouraged the lockdowns?
No, encouraged the lockdowns. That Trump encouraged the lockdowns.
That's not true at all.
I know, but that's nonetheless what the truth doesn't matter.
Whoa. Does that say Brabus on it? Probably. This is something crazy right here. Listen to that, Charles. That is your G-Wagon right there. Let's see what it says. It says 4K4. I don't know what that says. 4K. Something really interesting.
Looks pretty tippy to me.
I don't know if that's the safest vehicle you could drive.
It looks pretty damn tippy to me.
Well, it looks like he made it. Somehow it says 4K something on the back of it. And it looks pretty cool, but super dangerous. What do you think? Does that vehicle look safe to you? It does. All right.
Now, Jason.
Candidate for the shotgun seat. But so you were saying,
so they're trying to reinvent history. In fact, it was the teachers' unions, specifically Randy Weingarten, who insisted that the public schools remain shut. And it's the Democrats and their allies in what purports to be the media but isn't, who taunted DeSantis and taunted Abbott for opening up Florida and Texas respectively early, and made fun of the Swedes for never locking down.
This is professional gaslighting. I didn't have any classified information.
Right.
Trump wanted to close the schools. Biden's a genius.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute now.
Again, this is like, we were talking about this before we started. There was a guy who, the name will come to me, who was a very famous Texan who bought the Dallas Cowboys the first franchise for $200,000 or something. And he was a major league figure in American history and the inspiration either for Dynasty or the other one.
Who shot JL?
Yeah, exactly. And one of those two shows, I forget which, but his problem was that he was such a forceful personality and he had so many years of throwing temper tantrums. People saying, "Why are you wasting $200,000 on football? Nobody cares about football. We love baseball."
That's probably the best investment anybody ever made.
Yeah, so he did well with countless times betting against conventional thinking, and then unfortunately he developed dementia. And so he started
doing things that
making
took a while to realize.
Really stupid decisions, like why are you giving your quarterback's girlfriend $8 million to open up a steakhouse, and he just made bad deal after bad deal. And I, in 1983 or 4, was asked to go down with this now very famous guy. The guy comes to my office in Charles. You ever been to Texas? I said, nope. Get packed. You're going there tomorrow. So I go down there and I meet this guy's son and brother and some other relative, and the guy who died was still alive, and I was given with this senior partner the inside look at this
mess this dude was making.
I mean, it was worse than the finances of the city of New York. I mean, it was. He had just borrowed against everything.
You could go check out if the rubber trump is there.
So he borrowed against everything, and oil prices, were set to go the wrong way. Ultimately, he went bankrupt.
Wow.
But and that's, I think, a little bit. Hillary Clinton, I've heard tales that both Hillary and Bill have volcanic temperaments. So when they don't get what they want, they start yelling at you or.
I saw anger in her eyes when I was asking her questions if she was in public.
So if you grow up that way, I mean, she's got 2 mansions or 3 mansions, I guess, that we know about. Who knows what she has that we don't know about?
Mossack Fonseca, probably.
Yeah. And she's 74 or 5 or whatever she is, chronologically speaking, and about 2 intellectually. And she thinks she's just fine. She's never come close to being prosecuted. Anytime she gets in trouble, people disappear or die or stop looking into things, and she's just up to her usual tricks, knowing that she's going to be with Bill and Chelsea the center of attention on the 19th and 20th, and that's just about a month, 6 weeks.
Where is it that they're doing it, or we don't know yet?
We do. It's somewhere here in. Well, that guy's big.
Do we have Trump?
No Trump.
Looks like no.
That's a big dude.
Oh man, the anti-terrorist cops are texting. Aren't they supposed to be paying attention? That's ridiculous.
Don't do it, Jason. Don't do it.
We're not going to do anything. We're just getting a close-up of the texting. Everybody realizes the cops are not supposed to be texting, right? They're supposed to be paying attention to the massive crime explosion.
They could be texting and say there's some guy with a camera walking in front of us.
Yeah, they're like
8 around this goes across the street.
They're just over there texting like loads of crime, LOL.
Is that mini skirt purple?
It's the purple revolution. Actually, the new iPhone was just announced today, Charles.
And that's no, is that right? Let's see.
That one there,
Yeah, that
Peninsula.
is the one where Hillary Clinton was all
having a party
getting ready
Jared
to dance.
mentions it in the book.
to dance on Trump's grave.
So Charles,
We don't have much time.
iPhone 14 now in purple, which I found weird.
Really?
But they did announce what I believe is an industry first 4-nanometer process for the new chip inside.
This is where I say, Jason, you're speaking Swahili.
This is a breakthrough.
Okay.
It makes the thing much more energy efficient.
How much does it cost?
They said that the introductory one,
Whoa.
the
Showing off a
introductory
little bit.
one is $799.
That's pretty good.
But see, the thing that's interesting is, I have to admit that it does appear that they're making a very concerted effort to stay true to the vision of Steve Jobs as best as they're able. There's a couple things that Steve Jobs said throughout his career that have basically guided the computer industry. And one of them was when he announced the switch from Motorola semiconductors to Intel ones, because at the time, Intel had the best performance per
Is
watt.
Hillary on the board of that? USA Shred. On-site document destruction.
Yeah, they're on their way. No doubt.
We've got the light, actually.
Anyway, he was very focused on energy efficiency per unit of computing, and this 4-nanometer process just smashes the entire industry in terms of being the best at that.
That's good.
And the phone battery will last a super long time, and it'll be faster and everything. It's pretty interesting.
That's good. Now, what were we talking about right before, though? Because we were
Talking about Robert Trump, we were talking about Hillary Clinton lying.
You think this is a model?
What is going on here? It's an NFT event. It's the Elizabeth Collective. Resistance is futile.
Consul General of the Argentine Republic Promotion Center. I'd sell this building now and consider paying off your debts.
Well, you're going to be promoted now. You should be the CEO of that. As this guy,
Argentina is going bankrupt again, I think. In the process of going bankrupt again.
well, they want to promote that.
This used to be a good restaurant a long time ago. I don't think I've been on this block in a long time.
How's the red peony Chinese cuisine?
Sounds good.
Elon Musk is eating there.
The Whitby Hotel. The red piece, your type of place, you know? Remember that pigeon that we saw on the street?
I like the duck.
Yeah. Quad duck. If it is duck. This is the Dim Sum Palace. You have your choice.
It's
That's where Hunter worked. And Biden. The Biden family starts out at the Dim Sum Palace.
I just don't understand how any sensible person can look at the collection of events that have occurred with Hunter Biden having all this evidence all over the place of obvious crimes, and everybody's like, oh, well, that's Hunter Biden. It's not Joe Biden. Oh, the other thing is, who was it? Whoopi Goldberg was defending Latrine LaPierre, whatever her name is, saying that when she was doubting the 2016 election and going on Twitter saying all that stuff, which she hasn't been removed for,
Again,
that she didn't work for the government, so it was okay. Twitter didn't say that to me when they kicked me off.
Well, again, I mean, the whole purpose, the scientific method, right? You have a hypothesis, you test it.
Oh,
It's not good. Let's not.
no. Somebody injured. The scientific hypothesis you were saying?
You want to encourage that. You don't want to say, listen, the government, with all of its conflicts and the ability to storm your house, is going to tell you what's true and what isn't true.
Terrible.
I mean, it's just absurd.
Well, now they have somebody from France with a bunch of friends from Arab nations that don't like Israel that want to tell you what is true and what is not true.
I mean, that's where we started to talk about the UN. We got off kilter. If we want to have a referendum in 2024, a real one, we should have a referendum on globalism. Does the American nation want to abandon the Constitution and submit to being ruled by unelected dopes in the UN? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, then we can move, those of us who don't like it. If the answer is no, we could shut this shit down.
Want to go that way?
I was thinking across the street now, because
Sure.
that's where.
Well, we're going to lose the light, though.
Okay.
We are running close on battery power.
Whatever you decide. I was hoping we'd get to
I'm
Fox.
still-
but it's,
No, we'll let it keep going. But I'm trying to get to the Swedish engineering geniuses who created this thing to get a software update.
yeah, I'm not sure where the Clinton Grifter Initiative is being held. They make announcements about it. I know we will never be allowed in, but it'd be pretty interesting to set up, get a few cardboard boxes and just sit there asking for money.
Why not organize a protest?
Yeah. Well, generally the Haitians do that.
Yeah.
And they're
We'll
very
just
nice
go there
people.
and cover it.
Well, we'll just do that. Well, it's on Monday and Tuesday now. But
This week? Next week?
1920. So 2 weeks.
So 2 weeks.
10 days.
September 11th is coming up, Charles.
Do you want to cross or not?
Yeah. I have arranged a very special interview for September 11th.
That's on Sunday.
Well, I'm going to be doing it prior to September 11th, but it's about September 11th. I haven't
Cool.
decided if I'll put it out live or do it on Sunday before our show. But I'm going to be speaking with John Kiriakou.
Really?
Yep, who has been on the show before. John, you probably will recognize his name. He's the CIA whistleblower who went to jail for exposing Abu Ghraib torture.
With Seymour Hersh, right? Seymour
Right.
Hersh did that too.
He had something to do with Seymour Hersh, but also he, in a roundtable with Bill Binney and Kevin Shipp, two individuals who I no longer trust as a result of information that was revealed to me after this roundtable occurred. At that interview, Kiriakou basically said that 9/11 was exactly as we were told. 19 guys flew the planes. They were from Saudi. He's an expert in Saudi. Ma'am, do you need help? Okay. I just didn't want that. She's pretty old to bend over and pick that up. Anyway, so John Kiriakou said 9/11 happened exactly the way the newspaper told you, and I got some questions for him. Oh,
Yeah.
Charles, you're California.
Yeah. This is
See,
that-
I mean, you're telling me Joe Biden says no more 12-cylinder Ferraris right there, impeachment. What a dick.
Again, what do we had this idea for a new show to replace The View.
Oh, the pew.
Right.
You just get all the homeless people from the park.
Random people, these random lunatics, and just ask them their opinion. Often, some of these people, it is the case that some people who are very, very smart are not well adjusted into society, and they either get cast out of society or they choose to just, you never understand what I'm
Booze,
thinking about.
drugs, whatever.
Whatever the problem is. But people like Joe Biden and George W. Bush and Hillary Clinton, these are people who are conformists. They have agreed, they've done their deal with whatever devils they work with, and what we see is whether you're a grifter on the right or a grifter on the left, you do well.
I think we're about to lose battery power,
Okay.
Charles, so we're going to bid everybody farewell and have a great evening. I think I'm going to need to put this John Kiriakou interview on subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth because YouTube doesn't want us talking about stuff like that.
All right.
And also, I'm going to have an interview with Richard Gage and the lawyers from the Lawyers Committee for 9/11. So a lot of 9/11 stuff coming up. And also remember, Stupid Mario has predicted some sort of attack on the stock market. But that usually is an indicator of some sort of tricky nonsense that they're planning that they're going to try to blame on me, or I don't know. But that's some idiotic crap that they put out. Oh yeah, Devin Nunes's lawyer, who is amazingly still practicing law and hasn't been disbarred, lost another case, and now they got to give, I think, $145,000 to Google.
They need
More
the money.
sanctions.
Google needs more money.
Well, they don't need the money, but definitely Stephen Biss needs to be sanctioned. It's amazing that he can keep going with these frivolous lawsuits and survive all these Rule 11 motions, and that this guy's going right through the red light to crash into us. Anyway, Charles, hopefully we will make it home without getting run over.
Well, I wouldn't want anybody to get upset by my hat.
Exactly.
Several people have given me a look already today. I love it.
That is good. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and have a great evening. See everybody soon.